Good morning and welcome to the Bowling University studio from the International Bowling Campus in Arlington, Texas. I'm John Karabatsis and I'll be your host for this edition of the Bowling University Tuesday Morning Profit Break. Thank you for joining us. The Tuesday Morning Profit Break is an opportunity for sharing insights on how to grow revenue, reduce costs, and enrich yourself, your team, and your business. Welcome to our new viewers and welcome back to those of you joining us again. Thank you for taking a few moments out of your busy day. So grab your coffee or your favorite morning beverage and let's get started improving your profitability. Today, we're going to be talking about a great resource available to you, our BPAA members, courtesy of our partners at Boston Beer. Joining us today is the Product Education Manager from the Boston Beer Company, Mr. Matt Perizzelli. Matt, thank you so much for taking a few minutes this morning to share Boston Beer's digital online training platform with our members.
John, thank you so much for having me, and a big thank you to everybody out there for your support of Boston Beer brands. I am so happy to be here with everybody today. We have something new to unveil, something that we think is going to help everybody achieve their goals of increasing profits and really just wrapping their head around what's going on in the beer industry. Because in 2021, John, you know as well as I do, there's a lot going on out there. There's a lot to choose from. There's a lot of segments that have emerged over the last handful of years that didn't even exist recently. So anytime we can really try to get a leg up from an education perspective and then share that knowledge with our customers, we're going to gain from that. And our customer is going to gain too. So today, I'm going to dive into what we're calling our digital classroom. This is an online platform that we've created, and we would just love to share with everybody who's viewing this. So let's dive into it. So the digital classroom, what is it? This is a website, and the site's right up there on your screen right now. Easy to remember, training.bostonbeer.com. We have collated e-learnings, so some are a few minutes long, some are longer. I'll dive into that with you in a little bit. We have videos, we have PDF guides that you could read through. We've got assessments on there that you can take, all with the goal of boning up on your knowledge of the beer industry. And it's not just Boston Beer products. Of course, we'd love to share with you what's going on in the world of Sam Adams, Dogfish Head, Truly. You'll find that on that site, no doubt about it. But you'll also find information that's going to help you speak to the beer industry at large. And you can speak to different segments, different categories in a more educated fashion after hopping on this site perhaps than you were before. So the goal of this site, I think it's really important to share with everybody who's viewing this, okay? We created this site with you in mind. And by that, I mean our retail partners. Amanda, we have a great partnership going on right now with the BPAA. But we created it. Now, what do I mean by that? We created this. We wanted some easy to digest, key takeaway e-learnings on here that you could hop on, even on your phone, maybe pre-shift, and learn a little bit. What's an IPA? What's a sour beer? What's the difference between an ale and a lager? What is Samuel Adams Wicked Hazy? It's there, and it's not going to take you a whole lot of time to dig through it and digest some of this material. Now, the main goal, this is the goal, right? Like always, we want to help you sell more beer. And by beer, obviously, I mean tea, cider, seltzer, all of it. But at the end of the day, we think that this is going to help everybody interact with customers and ultimately increase profits. And we know what the customer is doing now in 2021, way more than they were doing a few years ago. The customers are savvy now, right? They want to rap, they want to talk a little bit, they want to ask questions. Being armed with answers to those questions is going to lead to higher check averages at the end of the day. We know that. So let's take a look at some of the resources that you'll find on the site. And then in a little bit, I'll actually dig into it with everybody and show you exactly what you would see when you log on. So what types of resources and what types of like e-learning modules are available to everybody? Here's a little snapshot for you, okay? At the top, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about we designed this with you in mind. Quick, we kind of call them modules on there, 3, 4, 5 minutes. You can hop on and find out, for example, a better way to pour draft beer, maybe to increase profitability. I'll show that to you in a second. What's an IPA? Like I mentioned before, how do I work my way through a craft beer, right? What's the 5-step appraisal of actually judging a craft beer? Is it what the brewer intended? All of that is on the site. And like I mentioned, it's very easy to go through and very easy to internalize. Now, let's say you want to dig in a little bit more, and perhaps you find yourself in front of a computer, maybe you're at home, maybe you're a real student of the industry and you want to dive in a little bit. We've got that for you too. For example, you could spend 20 minutes going through our Intro to Brewing module, where we take you through every step of how to brew a beer. That's the next level. And if you want to progress through that, again, it's right in front of you, and we'd love for you to use it if it adds value. Last but not least, and I'll point this out on the next slide, we also have some study guides on there, because there are some industry exams out there that are available to everybody where you can get accredited and get certification in the world of beer or even in the world of cider. So what am I talking about? I'll break it down with you right here, and I'll give you 2 examples. At the top of your screen, you see that logo from the Cicerone program. Now, this is a program, you can kind of think of it as akin to the sommelier program for wine, right? And Ray Daniels, who founded the Cicerone program, basically just wanted to ensure that the customer was getting the best possible experience when they drank a draft beer while they were sitting at a bar. If you want to study and pass level 1 of that program, by the way, there's 4 levels to that program currently, we made a study guide and we put it on the site for you. If you'd like to dig into the world of cider, go ahead, study up. We put the content on there. You could become what's called a certified cider professional just by studying on this site. Some pretty cool stuff, right? So again, basic quick hitters, a little bit more in depth, and then you want to get your certification, we'll help you out there too. Very important. How do I actually use this site? Well, here you go. Easy steps for you. Go to training.bostonbeer.com. Just click register at the bottom of your screen, and I've highlighted it right down there in yellow. Find your location, because everybody who goes on this site goes in through a specific location. I'll tell you why that's important momentarily. Put in your email, create a password, that's it. In less than 5 minutes, you are up and running, and you have access to all the content that a Boston Beer coworker would have access to. It's awesome, and man, are we excited for people like yourselves to hop on and tell us what you think. Last point on the digital classroom. Let's say that there's a group of you, perhaps, that want to go on and you want to take a certain set of modules, okay, maybe like the one I'm about to show you. We can also provide tracking for you, and this is easy, right? So on the back end, we can just spit out an Excel report. It'll get dropped right in your inbox, let's say Monday morning at 7 a.m. if that's when you want to see it, and it'll show you everything about who's using the site, who's logged in, what modules they've taken, how many points they've accumulated. We have a point system for a lot of these modules, so we do some competitions here at Boston Beer where we'll have a month and we'll say, hey, who can get to 100 points, right? Who can get to 200? You get to 400, you get Utopia's certification, and you get a little certificate. It's all there. And man, we just love to hand it over and for everybody to give us some feedback, because we're always trying to make this site better. Okay, let's actually dive in, and I'm going to give you a little peek behind the hood, or under the hood, I should say, and show you what this looks like. So here we go. I'm going to move this right over so I can see it. All right, so this is the dash. So right now you're taking a look at the dashboard, and I'm scrolling through the left-hand side here. These are what we call our content libraries. So this is, I mentioned beer styles here. So we've got wheat beers, sour beers, amber lagers, really awesome stuff. And that would be, again, if you got a few minutes to really dig into some of these styles that are hot. I'm actually going to jump in right now to one of our libraries that we call Serving Draft Beer, which I think is fairly relevant for everybody who's watching this. And I'm going to click open the one at the top momentarily. Before I do that, there's a lot of content on here, so we give you an indication of how long each one of these is going to take. Effects of alcohol, which you saw is 15 minutes. This one will open right now, is 5. So you have an idea of what you're going to dive into. Here we go. I just opened a course, and this would work, again, on my phone just like it works on your computer screen, but I'm opening up how to pour draft beer. All I need to do at this point is scroll through and read and internalize some of the content. Beer storage, what's the best temperature to keep my kegs at, and how do I actually check my cooler, right? Is it draft FT or is it draft with a GHT, right? It's on there. How do I actually pour draft beer, right? And how do I minimize loss and increase profitability? We broke that down for you too. If I scroll down to the bottom, take a look at what I'm looking at right now. I've got a check mark next to the items that I've looked at because I've gone through this course a couple times. The one that's not fulfilled is this assessment. So let's click through and answer a couple questions here, right? There we go. Let's see how I do. Oh, there we go. Correct. Not bad. Let's take a stab at a couple more. Let's see if I can get this one right with everybody watching here. Yes, all the above, right? Correct. Okay, there's 4 out of 5. Let's see if we can get 5 out of 5, gang, while we're all on the call here. Take a wild guess. Aha. Let's see my score here. See, we're all learning every day. I got an 80 and I made the course. Now this is checked off and it says 100% complete. So you have to actually go through every part of the module to register as 100%, and that's when it would show on a report as completed. Much more on that site beyond the how to pour draft beer. That's it for right now. I'm going to go back to John.
Matt, that is awesome. You guys nailed it. From my experience in the industry, that is such a needed resource. Very well done. Very well done. Hey, we've got time for a couple of questions for you. How did you decide on the content to include in the digital classroom?
Great question. 2 different avenues. So one, we want to make sure that our products are on there because, as I said before, we're not the only supplier out there. We're not the only supplier testing waters with different beers. So when we come out with a new product, that gets put on the site. So that first and foremost, right? We want to make sure we're keeping everybody abreast of what we're doing. But the other part of it is we source feedback. And John, it could come from everybody out there watching this, just like it comes from any other retail partner that we have. Oftentimes people will go on the site and they'll shoot us a message and say, hey, you've got X, Y, and Z, but I'd love it if you had a module on this. A lot of the time we go back to the drawing board and we say, hey, this is a need, let's create it. So we source a lot of feedback from our partners that use the site, and we're always trying to make it better. We think it's outstanding. We know it's not perfect. So again, that's a call out for everybody to give us some feedback on what they see there. But yeah, if there's an industry need or if we source it, from somebody that's using the site, John, that's kind of how we bubble this up. And we get to work and we try to make something that our customers are really going to find value.
Very nice. You mentioned industry exams. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the benefit of taking those?
Sure. John, I'm glad you asked because now I get to share with everybody that I am an advanced Cicerone, which I'm fairly proud of. But let's look at the Cicerone program in and of itself. The genesis of that whole program, John, like I mentioned, was just the fact that customers were going to a bar and getting expired beer poured in a dirty beer glass, right? And this guy, Ray Daniels, that founded the program, thought to himself, okay, we treat wine very carefully, right? And there's this kind of elevated perception of wine. Why don't we do the same thing with beer? He created this program, and now, as you progress through the program, you just learn more and more of how to treat beer the way that a brewer would want it to be treated, how to serve beer to maximize profitability and increase customer satisfaction. You learn about brewing, ingredients, all these different things, which, at the end of the day, just improve the conversation with the customer. Mm-hmm. And they can get a cold beer in a lot of different places. We want them to get it here. How do we do that? We increase customer satisfaction. And a lot of times that comes from the way that you can interact with them and talk to them. So I think that's really the value of the Cicerone program, John. And then, we could say the same thing in terms of becoming a certified cider professional. Because a lot of people are drinking Angry Orchard cider these days.
I reiterate, you guys nailed it with that. We're running out of time, but I just got to ask you one more quick question. What's the future of this?
Great question. We're trying to adapt, and one of the things that we're hearing is that the e-learnings are great, the study materials are great. Now we're trying to put a little bit more video content on there. Because as you know, everybody's attention span is getting shorter and shorter. So now, we're looking at, are there 1 minute, 2 minute videos we can throw on there? Are there more romancing videos we can put on the site? And by romance, I mean our brewers, very carefully breaking down these beers and recording it. So I think that's a direction for us, John, that we're going to, step into. But yeah, we wanted to keep growing this, and like I said, just make it the best possible resource it can be.
Awesome. That is awesome. Well, Matt, thank you, and thank Boston Beer for this truly, pardon the pun, truly great resource for our members. So I'd like to remind all of you that if you would like more information or have questions about the Boston Beer Digital Classroom, please contact Jay Tritley at j@stemarketing.com, and he'll be happy to help you with access to this resource. As we wrap up another edition of the Tuesday Morning Profit Break, remember that when your focus is on growing people, people will grow your business. We look forward to seeing you next week at 10:15 Eastern for another great episode of the Tuesday Morning Profit Break. If you have any questions about today's show or would like additional information, you can reach us anytime at education@bpaa.com. Also, you and your team can watch any of our previous episodes 24/7 by visiting bowlinguniversity.net. Until then, I'm John Karabatsis, and do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. We'll see you next week.